That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us.
It's a brisk 22 degrees here. There's a little snow on the ground.
Nice.
It is pretty cold. I mean, welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, a podcast about talking. We're your co-hosts. I'm Peter Billman.
I'm Cecil Davis.
And we're just trying to have a conversation without using Google or fact-checking online. Those things can so easily kill the conversation.
So you are not in the studio.
We are using some advanced technology, wouldn't you say, Cecil? I am not in the Camel City studio. I'm not even in the Camel City.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm in Gothenburg, Sweden on a business trip, and the show must go on.
Gothenburg?
Gothenburg. Gothenburg. If you're curious, it's on the west coast of Sweden. It's a brisk 22 degrees here. There's a little snow on the ground.
Nice.
It is pretty cold. I mean, it's chill. It's bone chilling cold.
So this will give away when we're actually recording, but is the big storm in Germany affecting you?
It does not affect me, but it did affect one of my coworkers who is actually coming from Germany. Mm-hmm. He went to Germany for a couple of days earlier, and he got delayed so much he's not getting in until about 11 o'clock tonight. He was supposed to get in 2 o'clock today.
Wow.
So he's in a bind. Now, hopefully he'll make it, but we'll see.
I've seen some of the pictures from Germany. It's pretty impressive.
Oh, is it really? Okay. I have not seen it. I've been traveling for 18 hours.
That's right. Did you have a good flight?
Everything went smoothly, man. Everything went smoothly.
So I got a topic for you tonight. Actually, it is your tonight. What time is it there right now?
Yeah, right now it's 9:30 in the evening, 9:38.
Man, you're dedicated.
So it's 3:38 your time.
It's 3:38 my time. So here's our topic. So as you know, and we've talked about this on the show before, we have a bulky item pickup in our area. And you've found things during bulky item pickup. I've found things during bulky item pickup. But one year I found a intact cherry mantle, wooden mantle. So the columns on the side and the mantelpiece on the top.
Oh, okay. So it was straight up unfinished wood?
No, it's finished. Finished wood.
Oh, okay.
I guess it's not, it wouldn't be it's a mantle, but it'd be the fireplace, just the whole surround.
Okay. Oh, so it's the whole, okay. All right. Yeah, so it's not just the shelf above the fireplace, but it's the whole thing that goes.
So the two supporting columns and the shelf at the top, all one piece.
Was it in good condition?
Oh, it was in great condition. It was in great condition. And so I was just too good to pass up. So I went and picked it up and got it home, cleaned it up a little bit. And on the inside of it is a piece of paper that has the manufacturer and some information of the company that made it. And the company was in New York State, I think, and had some other information. So what I did was I called the company, and based on the numbers and stuff on the piece of paper, they were able to tell me it was created during the 1970s.
All right, so this thing had legitimate papers that go along with it.
Yeah, and I've still got the papers and everything. And so
it's like having a car with matching numbers.
Right, exactly. So I had, so they told me a little bit of the history of that and told me a little history of the company. So I decided to list it on eBay. And so I put it on eBay, and I put it on there for, I didn't really know what it was worth, so I put it on there for $500.
All right.
And so it sat on there for a while, but then I began to think, this thing might be worth more than $500.
Wait. Now, I think we're starting to get into the thing that don't sound right. Well, why do you think it costs worth more?
Well, I just, it was a kind of a piece of Americana. It had this history to it. And, I thought, maybe it's worth more to someone than just $500. So I increased.
Well, do you know how much it sold for back in the 70s?
I don't.
And
that would be a good
what was that? What house was it? Was it coming out like a historic house here in the neighborhood?
No, just found it on the side of the road. And
yes, that don't sound right. I remain behind it.
So I know nothing about, and it may not even have come out of the house in the neighborhood. It may have come out of somewhere else. But this company made and continues to make fireplace surrounds and mantles and sells them. And they have some high end stuff, and they have, and so I think these were maybe not mass produced, but were made in the 70s and were in a lot of homes.
Okay.
But I thought, maybe it's worth more. And this was not me doing any market research on this. This was just me sitting around thinking. And so I decided to increase the price on eBay.
So this is the eBay market. So eBay, you get, all right. This is eBay. All right.
Yeah. So I think I increased it the first time, like from 500 to 1,000.
So your listing fee goes up then, doesn't it?
Well, there's not a listing fee on here. Now, I think what they take, the percentage they get gets higher as the price goes higher, obviously, since it's a percentage.
Maybe if it's when you list, I think it's when you list if you have a reserve, that's when they take a listing fee. But if you don't put it, that was your reserve. Yeah, I thought you got a listing fee. How long ago was this?
This has been a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I don't have
is this still going on?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because
what's going on?
It gets even better. So I increased the price, and someone immediately writes me and says, "I've been looking at this mantle. Why did you increase the price?" And so
this is on eBay. Someone's sending you a private message through eBay.
Sending a private message through eBay. And so I wrote them back and said, "Hey, thank you for your interest in the mantle. I think it may be worth more than I originally thought, and so I've increased the price." And she wrote me back and basically said, "You're crazy." And was basically very sarcastic and said, "Good luck getting that." And was upset that I had increased the price. So that got me thinking about, I wonder what it's really worth. And so then every month or so, I would just go back on and increase the price more.
By how much? 500?
Yeah, like 500 or sometimes 1,000, just depending on how I was feeling. And so now I've got it up, I think, to $10,000.
$10,000 for this scrap piece of wood you really don't know anything about. So this sounds like some kind of experiment or something.
Right.
What are you doing
here? At this point, it's a social experiment for me, just on the value of things. Because if somebody pays $10,000 for it, then it's worth $10,000.
Well, yeah. I mean, someone thought it was worth that.
Yeah. If I sold it for $5, then it was worth $5. And this goes back to the whole question of our collectibles too. I mean, if you have an old fishing rod, it's not worth anything unless somebody's willing to pay for it, regardless of how you could have someone famous's old fishing rod. And if nobody wanted to pay you for it, it's not worth anything.
Right. Or if you have paid $500 for something, it doesn't mean it's worth $500, because if you turn around and try to sell it for $500, you might not get that price now.
Right. And that's the thing, like with old cars. I had that old 36 Ford, thinking it was worth a lot more than it was, but people don't want to pay a lot of money for those old cars.
Well, they also don't want to pay a lot of money for those old incomplete cars.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, and it's only, it's only worth what people pay. Like right now, when I watch these car auctions, people are paying high dollar for stuff that probably you and I wouldn't purchase, but it's just what's nostalgic to them. So all of a sudden, people are paying high dollars for a Datsun or a Toyota, because it's what's nostalgic to them. And they're passing up. You're seeing these really classic muscle cars roll across the block for, $30,000 or $40,000. And think that they should be going for 100,000, but they're not. It's just people don't have an interest in them like they do some of these other cars now.
So you're trying to drum up some interest on a mantle. So I guess, one thing you can do is you can hold the price steady, and then you can start taking it down.
I've thought about
that creates a different kind of buzz.
Right.
Now it's the first buzz was, hey, this is actually worth more. You might want to jump on it because I'm going to raise the price. You're creating a new buzz that it was worth $10,000. And he's starting to drop the price.
Now worth $9,000. Yeah. I've actually thought about doing that too. Is just going back down and seeing what happens. Because what I've found, just like the lady that called me, was not nice to me about raising the price, I found that some people just like to comment on items. They're not interested in bidding on the item.
I found that to be true on the Facebook marketplace.
Yes.
I never really experienced that on eBay.
So on eBay, all the time you experience it on Facebook marketplace. But on eBay, it's usually like if you list something for a very specific thing, like if you were listing a truck part, you have to make sure you've got that truck part exactly right. Because
especially if it's a much older truck, right?
Right. Because otherwise, if you say, oh, well, that's from a 65 Ford, there's always going to be somebody out there who says, oh, no, that's not from a 65. That's from the 64. You're not noting the third hole, the 64s. And so there's always some expert out there that wants to correct you, especially.
Yeah. Instead of saying that don't sound right, they'll just say, no, this has the third hole. This is actually from a 62 and a half, and it was made in Toronto and not in Detroit.
Yep. And and then you just write back and you're like, are you making an offer? And they're like, no, I just wanted to tell you what you had, that you were wrong. You need to correct the listing.
I had somebody told me to throw my item away.
Really?
I was listing an old gas log.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't, I was probably listing it for $50.
Right.
And they turned, someone commented and said, that thing is junk, just throw it away.
Wow. People are very brazen like that about correcting things. I forget what I listed. It was a car part, and someone, I think it was like it was the headers off of a car, it's the valve covers off of Ford. And someone said, oh, those are the 6-hole covers or something. And I was like, yeah, I had to write them back. I said, no, I think you're wrong. But yeah, they wanted to correct my listing. They told me I needed to correct it. But they just told you to throw it away?
Yeah, they just said, oh, you should throw that away.
Did you respond?
No, I don't think I did. I might have just turned off comments because, at the end of the day, I don't need anybody's comment on my listing.
No.
If you got a question, you can always IM me or you can email me, but I'm not interested in anyone's comments about my listing. I think I did see one other comment, and I don't know if it was effective. Someone tagged another person and said, hey, so-and-so, check this out. And they tagged it in the comments. Again, I don't even know if that even worked. I don't know if so-and-so actually got the comment to go look at this listing. Yeah,
I agree. When I list something on there, and I'm not looking for feedback. I'm looking to sell it. And the other thing is if you have a listing, especially on eBay, and then you just have somebody that just wants to ask you a bunch of questions about it, and they never make an offer. And so you end up answering 5 or 6 questions. And then, I've had to go, are you planning on making an offer, or are you just doing research?
You just hassling me. Well, my daughters and I had a big debate about this, especially on Facebook Marketplace, is, I usually, when I put a listing in there, I say, if it's listed, it's available. Don't bother asking. If you're interested, ask me about the item.
Yep.
And so people say, is this is the item available? I just delete their comment and move on.
Oh,
but
really?
because I said, don't waste my time asking me if it's available. That's why I have it listed.
Right.
And this is me just being, I think, an old curmudgeon. But my girl said, look, people don't know how to initiate. And Facebook automatically gives you a way to initiate. And the automatic way to initiate is asking the question. Yeah. Is it available? But see, that just requires me to answer yes. And then I have to ask a follow-up question is, are you interested?
Yep. Yeah.
Now, I've never gotten someone to respond to say, well, of course I'm interested. That's why I'm asking you if it's available.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I haven't run into that problem. Yeah. But often I would say, I'll respond with, are you interested? And then it just goes silent and they're just wasting my time.
Yeah.
Or it's a scammer and they immediately ask for your phone number.
Yep.
That's a clear sign that they're a scammer. They're trying to get some information out of you so they can try to start phishing your addresses.
The worst one I had was a guy. This was in the early days of all this. I was selling something, and I think it was some car amps I had, and he kept saying, "I'm not meeting if you don't respond." And I responded every single time. It ended up he didn't show. I showed up to the meeting spot, and he never showed up.
No, so that's great.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about, but the ins and outs of trying to sell things like that online. I like the marketplace in town because usually you're selling to somebody that's in the neighborhood, sort of.
Yeah, but even I've gotten so many flaky people that they'll say they're interested and they'll just go silent and you won't hear from them, or they're selling something and you just can't get any information out of them.
Right.
And eventually the last response you get is, "Oh, I sold it."
Yeah. The place I've had the most success is eBay Motors.
Really?
Yeah. People on there seem to be very serious. Usually it's very specific parts for the most part. I found a very rare, or I won't say rare, but I found a very specific part for the Ranchero on there. I don't know that I could have found it anywhere else. And everybody on there was very professional. So that's been my best experience is eBay Motors.
Well, maybe that's a lesson for our listeners is if you're trying to sell auto parts, skip the whole marketplace and go straight to eBay Motors, which is not a sponsor of us, but we're open.
We could be.
Hey, speaking of sponsors, have you got any hits on your Amazon planter feet shoes?
I haven't gotten the email saying that I have. I would think if I need to try to get back to the portal and see if anybody's purchased anything. The worst place I've experienced though is Craigslist.
Oh yeah.
Craigslist,
and that was the go-to place.
Yeah, I had some good experiences initially, but now everything seems to have moved more to marketplace or to eBay. It's harder. I think it's just harder to. I don't know. It seems harder to use that now than it used to be.
Yeah, or at least the people aren't looking. I don't think it gets as much traffic as it used to.
Yeah. I did like the whole thing where I guess you've seen where people use the marketplace to try to upgrade an item. So they start with something small and they keep trying to upgrade it.
No, tell me about this.
And they've actually got TV shows about it now where you start with a paperclip or something and you try to sell it.
Oh, you upsell everything. Yeah, there's an Office episode about this.
Move back to one of our former episodes. I wanted to ask you, what's the ice situation like?
Oh, let's see. Let me think. So the water I drank today, there was no ice. I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for the ice, but the water was nice and cold. But I will keep well, everything's cold here right now. You're asking about the ice. Well, yeah, everything's ice right now. The lakes are ice. The canals are ice. Pretty much everything is ice.
Yeah.
But I haven't noticed in the restaurants yet. I just was in one restaurant tonight for dinner. But I will check that out. I will be on the lookout, if you will,
for ice follow-up.
For the ice situation.
I saw a comedian today talk about the guy's friend had a Yeti out on his porch 25 feet from his refrigerator. And he's like, why do you need that? Your refrigerators, we can walk in the house and get stuff out of the refrigerator. Why do you need a Yeti on your deck? further, I had some conversations over the weekend about ice and about how much people love it.
Oh, is that right?
Yep. Yeah, that's been a much more sensitive subject than I thought.
Yeah, ice touched the nerve with some folks.
Well, it don't sound right, but you've come to the end of our first international broadcast.
Well, that was we'll see how it works. We'd like to get some feedback on the sound quality. But before we close, we want to thank everyone for listening. If this is your first time and enjoyed the conversation, would you consider hitting the subscribe button on the platform you listen with? Also, if you're a longtime listener, please give us a rating and leave us a review so others can easily join us in the conversation.
That Don't Sound Right is a production of TDSR Podcast in conjunction with Camel City Studios. I'm your co-host and sound engineer, Cecil. Peter is your other host and your web designer. Camille is our part-time barista. Emily does our graphic design. Ella does our Instagram. Giorgio tests our merchandise. Brent is back from being international brand ambassador. He's domestic brand ambassador. Now you're international. And
I'm taking it to the world.
And as always, listener number one is
Scott.
All right. Safe travels back. And until next week, keep talking
And stay curious.